Welcome to Hacking Your Leadership. I'm Chris.
And I'm Lorenzo.
And welcome to this week's Thoughtful Thursday. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Hacking Your Leadership and leave us a review on whatever podcast platform you are using right now. I want to talk about something that I saw on LinkedIn, and it's a poll, and I'm going to leave out the author's name because I'm about to crap all over it. But there's a poll that I saw on LinkedIn, and the question is basically, what's the most important thing for effective leaders to focus on? And the options are metrics and deliverables, or growth and innovation, or people and culture. There's like a none of the above or whatever, make a comment, just see the results, whatever. But the three options are basically those. And before I even voted on this, I could have told you that the answer would have been people and culture. Right. That's what the results would say. And lo and behold, it was the case. It was like 4 out of 5 people chose people and culture, which honestly is a little bit lower than I would have expected. I would have thought, more like 9 out of 10 people. And the option that I selected was metrics and deliverables. And then I made a comment on it because it's not as simple as just saying, what are you focusing on? And there were comments that ran the gamut. You got to focus on all of them. You can't just choose one or the other. It's like, well, yeah, that's not the point of the conversation. The point of the conversation is to pick one. You can't say you focus on all of them. But I chose metrics and deliverables because without those, you don't have a job to begin with. And I just think it's the other things, the growth and innovation, the people and culture. That's how you get there. But the focus has to be on the metrics and deliverables. Am I missing something here, or is everybody off the rocker?
Yeah, no, you're totally missing this, bro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You got to remember that these polls are made to just throw out softballs and say the right thing, right? And look, it's of course, taking care of people and building culture is extremely important as a leader. It's a direct reflection of how you lead people and inspire them and develop them and care for them and all the things. Absolutely, yes. But what you said is so true. If there is no business, there are no people.
Right.
If there are no deliverables, if you can't run an effectively profitable business, then everything else is a moot point.
Yep.
Right. And you know what we have to do? Rewind the tapes and look back a couple of years and look at how many companies had to furlough people and lay people off, and how many companies unfortunately went out of business, and how many things had to happen because there were no outcomes, there were no measurables, there were no metrics, there was no business. Yeah. There was not enough money to sustain people's jobs. Right? So it has to be that has to be the thing you must always consider. Of course, how you do that matters. Without question, how you go about focusing on your business and growing your business is absolutely important. And that's where how you show up as a leader is around your people and around your culture and around growth and around innovation and creating those spaces. But it boggles my mind because either people have no idea, which I don't believe to be the case. I believe that people know that you have to have a business being profitable to have people work there. I just think that they click on the easy, fun, rah, this is awesome. Of course, it's this answer to your point, but then it makes you wonder, why did they do that? Why can't we have honest dialogue and conversation about these things, because these are really, really critically important things.
Yeah. Talk to any person who was fired, laid off, furloughed, whatever you want to call it, in March, April, May through August of 2020 as businesses were closing or either temporarily or permanently because of the pandemic, and go up to somebody and say, hey, were you furloughed or let go or fired by a leader who was just really empathetic, somebody who just really knew where you were in life and was able to fire you with the empathy and compassion that a good leader needs, and then say, would you rather have had a paycheck? and the answer would most certainly have been, yeah, I would have rather had my job. Right? So yes, we all want the empathetic leader. We all want the doctor with the bedside manner, but I want the doctor who's going to fix the problem first. And then if the bedside manner I can get to, that's awesome. I want it all. As the patient, I want it all. But if I have to get rid of one, I'm still going to take the doctor who knows what they're doing, as opposed to the doctor who has a great bedside manner, but who might not be able to fix the problem as assuredly. And that's what these metrics and deliverables are versus people and culture. If you don't have the deliverable, if you can't deliver, and this is whether this is your organization has put out a list of deliverables or metrics you have to meet, or just the market is putting it out because you have to have a certain amount of revenue in order to pay people. Regardless of who is setting the metric, it is what it is. You have to be able to focus on that. That has to be the guiding place that you're trying to get to. And then again, how you get there is important. And so what I want to ask you, Lorenzo, is how do we start having this conversation in an honest way that doesn't make people go, oh, you're wrong. It's not about metrics and deliverables. It's about people and culture. People and culture feels so good, right? It feels so good. How do we get people to a place where they're able to understand that, no, it's about the metric and it's about the deliverable. It just doesn't mean that because you're focusing on the metric or the deliverable, you get a pass on how you treat people. So I want to ask you that, but first I want to give it a word from one of our sponsors. All right, Lorenzo, how do we move this conversation to a place where we are talking about the importance of metrics and deliverables without letting people believe that they get a pass for how they treat people?
I think we have to start with the dialogue of saying, like, if what you're telling me is that it's all about people and culture, then is it okay with you if we just stop paying you and you can show up here for the good times?
I mean, anybody who's being honest would say no, that's not okay.
Right, because it's about the measurable. It's about the metric, right? It's about the fact that we have to have that as a means of us being here together. So again, it's not devaluing that people and culture are extremely important and we want to take care of one another and we want to have these things, but we have to be honest with ourselves and have that level of dialogue to do this, to challenge when we see it and to talk about it and say, like, let's start here, please. Like, this is not a either or, because what we can have is all of it if the priorities are done in the correct order. To your point with like the doctor and the bedside manner, right? The thing about a doctor with a great bedside manner who doesn't know what they're doing is that bedside manner is probably going to be short-lived, just like your life, right? In a short amount of time, right?
Yes.
And that's sometimes how I think as leaders and in this dialogue is that we have to call a timeout and we have to pause and we have to make sure that people understand that. And there's a lot of ways to do that. There's a lot of ways of subtly helping people to understand the importance of business and results and profitability, to have teams to be able to lead. And I think that those conversations that happen in interview processes and job offers, in recruiting, like, there's a lot of places to make sure it's very clear as to why that's important and why we need that. But I also think that we have to get much better at pausing and challenging those thoughts or those ideas when it's clear that somebody maybe that hasn't connected for them just yet, so that you can have real open dialogue and conversation about it. I think that we have to do that as leaders. I think we allow this poll to exist, and then we allow there to be 1,000 likes, and people are like, yes, that's right, absolutely, instead of saying, hold on, stop. Right? Actually, it's all of it, but if we don't have the first one, we don't have the rest of them. Right. And there are some people in the comment section that did that. So kudos to you, because I think that's what needs to happen for us to start to get much better at having this conversation.
Right. I like the example you gave of, like, if we don't have the metric or the deliverable, then we don't have the company to begin with, let alone the ability to have a strong people and a strong culture. The opposite is not true, though. Like, if I were to say to you, if the metrics are strong, if the deliverables are strong, if we're a profitable organization and we're meeting all of our goals, then if you have a leader or a person or some people who are terrible people, who are terrible for the culture, guess what? Those metrics and deliverables that you're hitting are going to allow you to be a company that attracts people, to be able to replace those people who are not a good fit for your organization. Because you can, I won't name any company names here, but you can all think about the companies that you've seen that are just like notorious for, they're almost like on death's door, and they've been on death's door for years and years and years. The organizations, they're clearly being mismanaged. they don't have the talent, they don't have the skills, they don't have they're not delivering on anything, and they're kind of just like limping along, and you're wondering whether or not they're going to go out of business or they're going to be around for their 5 years, but they're not profitable from any sense of the word. Who wants to work for a place like that? Nobody. So if you are a person who is really strong at delivering good culture, if you take care of your people, are you going to apply at a place that you think is not hitting metrics or deliverables? Absolutely not. Because you want to, whatever you're doing is in service of your own career as well. You want doors opened for you. You want to be able to use that as a springboard into larger roles, larger positions, and more responsibility. You want to go to a place that is successful. Success attracts more success. And so if you have the metrics and the deliverables, and you can go to a place that has those metrics and deliverables in place, and you can be part of the solution of replacing somebody who is not good for the culture, who doesn't treat their people well, and you do treat people well, that's a positive thing. That can't happen unless the company is above water or successful to begin with.
Absolutely. And with that, it brings us to the end of this episode. This is Hacking Your Leadership. I'm Lorenzo.
And I'm Chris.
And have a great day.